Obviously, we're back to work today. Big opportunity for us to just see if we can stack a consistent performance as a team. I thought last Sunday was a great example of complementary football and when all three phases play a role in it, and do the things that win games, not do the things to contribute to losing games is obviously a no-brainer statement, but we've got to see if we can consistently stack some performances together. Really good team. Shotty's got those guys playing really well in all three phases. The additions on defense have shown up all over the tape. Really talented group. So we got to get going here. But also just wanted to highlight Brian O'Neill with the Art Rooney Sportsmanship Award. Not an award that gets a lot of attention, but I think you couldn't ask for a better leader and just representative of our organization and the best parts of our organization are our people and most importantly our players. And Brian is the standard for that, and someone who means the world to me, so hoping he can win that award.
Kevin, just since Ryan Kelly's been back in the mix,
Yeah.
Have you seen him kind of command the offensive line?
Yeah, I think you feel his presence, Matt. You feel from some of the simple things like consistency of the snaps and consistency of you can kind of check the box knowing you're going to get quality play out of the center position. And like I said after the game, I think he played a really, really good game. Physical, total command. The offensive line as a whole played very, very well in that game. And I think Ryan was a huge part of it. Everything happens inside out in football, whether it's the center, the quarterback, the protection, on and on. So I think he's huge for us.
Kevin, sticking with the offensive line, did you know Don Jackson was as tough as he was through the pre-draft process, or have you learned more about that this year?
Obviously, I know their head coach there pretty well, and some of the other guys there, and you get a lot of ringing endorsements on players because these coaches and programs care about these guys a bunch and fought like crazy to help them win. But you can just look at the data sometimes on a guy and see a guy playing at that level of football for as many games as he did. It's well documented, the move from guard to tackle just in the snap of a finger, and he's playing against a guy that was a top 5 draft pick, and just no flinch whatsoever, no real regard for anything more than the team. And the toughness you have to have the physical toughness to go along with the commitment and the mental toughness that Donovan has, and he was great for us to have him back in there, and just collectively that group of 5 guys up there, seeing what they can do over the course of 4 quarters against a quality front in Washington, and obviously this week with. Before they made the additions, they were a pretty talented group, and now they're one of the better fronts in football with the addition of Q and obviously Logan at the linebacker position. So and they've gotten healthy, so there's a lot of players that look different on tape now in these last 2-3 weeks than maybe if you watch some of those games from early on in the season.
Kevin, with last week, your message to J.J. about decision making, is that something you're going to probably continue to prioritize the rest of the regular season, or do you anticipate other things might ramp up just to try to?
No, that'll stay consistent, and it's really been that way from the beginning.
Kevin, what have you thought of the season Jordan Addison has had?
Yeah, I think I have felt a real growth in the way he plays football. His impact in the run game for a guy that's not the biggest guy in the world, but physical, and a lot of times when there's some usual characteristics to runs, against good fronts that end up showing up, whether it's Josh Oliver, whether it's our, the health of our line, the vision and the feel of the running backs, but then our receivers. I mean, Jordan Addison, Justin in big moments showing up. So that's one area. But then I also think he's gotten a lot better playing through contact. I think he's gotten a lot better understanding the nuances of the early part of the down as a receiver running routes that help him later on in the down where his true elite ability, where maybe he's not the biggest guy, the strongest guy, but his quickness and separation skills at the top of routes and how much more that can be enhanced by some details early on in the snap to help him do so. Obviously, our pass game as a whole, statistically, is not where we've kind of gotten used to being from a standpoint of, in totality. But I think there's going to be some plays there down the stretch here for him to make, and he would probably tell you that there's a couple he remembers that he could have made and we didn't make, but that's all part of the journey of a season, and he's still a young player. But I think the way he came off of, the start of the season, having to sit and watch for 3 games and then kind of hit the ground running, speaks to the offseason he had, which was very, very good, and just the growth of a guy with experience now, and a lot of time on task, but also a lot of results, 20-plus touchdowns or whatever he has, and learning how to impact the game and make sure his skill set that got him to the NFL is being enhanced by the things that help him along the way.
Kevin, standing in that room, what does it mean to have a leader like Justin Jefferson, who's maybe not having the season he wants personally, but continues to show up with a smile on his face and works hard in front of everybody else?
Yeah, he's even when he doesn't have a smile on his face, he's still the same guy. He every single day means the world to this organization, and you look at a play late in the game, the 4th and 2 touchdown to Hawkinson. I mean, the second Justin breaks the huddle, he knows he just went from being the first progression on the play to, because of the coverage they tried to play, even in a pure progression system. Justin understands, hey, it's red 2, and I'm going to have to outside release this corner and take him 4 or 5 yards in the end zone to open up the window for TJ, and then there's nobody more excited. Or the 3rd down catch Addison makes on 3rd and 9 on the 12-minute drive. Justin's the first pure progression on that play, and ends up turning around and celebrating because he knows, hey, it was a loaded coverage look to me. The cloud corner took me away. There's a void behind me. And J.J. threw it in rhythm and threw a great ball, and Jordan made the play. So the football intelligence is off the charts. Justin, with myself over the last 3 years, we've seen every coverage known to man in that pure world, and his ability to handle that and learn and grow. He plays football at a wildly elite level between the years, and then his physical skill set, his impact on the organization, the impact on much more than just people in this building, clearly as the best in the world at what he does, is, he's phenomenal.
Kevin, on the pure progression thing,
Yes.
Do you think it's possible in today's game, whether it's Vikings or not, or your quarterback or not, to have reverse only be reading defenses and not?
Pure progressions, you read defenses. You read individual players within coverages, and you attack voids and vacancies based upon the way the play is set up. If it's man-to-man, if it's zone, what kind of zone? Is it a cloud defense? Is it a version of quarter, half, quarter? Is it a loaded zone in the interior of the field, either hook or buzz coverage? All of those players, no matter what you label it on the chalkboard, all those players have individual responsibilities within a defense. And if all of them do their jobs perfectly while reading the eyes of the quarterback and being, having their landmarks of their zoning coverage responsibilities adjusted based upon where the quarterback's eyes are, and then if the quarterback applies the knowledge of coverage to that said progression, you can progress quickly, you can process quickly, and you could be accurate to throws with anticipation, knowing that the voids and vacancies have been created by said concept. And then there's also plays where you have to read coverage to know where the starting point is of the play. Receivers have to be able to do it because of the adjustments of routes. And then ultimately, protection and blitz pickup and things have an impact as the game has evolved, and it's no longer just zero coverage or 3 under 3 deep fire zone or just man pressure. Now there are hot pressures. Now there's palms coverage. Now there's, in many cases, doubles within those coverages on Justin or other players on our team. Maybe there's 2 doubles. There's a lot of layers to that, and it takes a lot of time to talk about, but I would say that I thought the doctor did a nice job talking about it yesterday.
What's the learning curve like on that when you're a quarterback coming from college? Everything's just more deceptive coverage-wise and more complex in the NFL.
And it's not only that, it's the tighter hash marks where the inside of the field, if you're on the left hash in college, there's an extra however many yards of space. It's harder to defend the middle of the field in college because there's so much of it between the numbers are wider, the hashes are wider, everything happens faster. The discipline of your drop to be able to say yes or no to any progression. There was a Hall of Fame quarterback that I once played with that really talked about no matter what the progression is on a read sheet, or whether it's a coverage read, a pre-snap look read, a pure progression with an alert, a man alert within a progression, they're all progressions, and the starting points are your ability to get there and where you decide the starting point of that progression is, and using your feet and eyes and rhythm of the drop to find the completion on the play. And then once you're able to do that, whether it's a check down, whether it's an underneath throw, whether it's a vertical passing game throw, they all have negative effects on the defense, and each completion then has a negative effect on their ability to maintain the discipline of the coverage on the next play.
Kevin, you work really hard to try and get your guys to approach every game the same way, but when you're playing against this team in that stadium in a primetime game, is there just a little more juice, the combination of those things coming up?
Playing Dallas.
Stadium, primetime, et cetera.
Yeah, I just look at every single one of these as we did a lot of the little things well in a game. Last Sunday at US Bank Stadium against that team. This is just another team from that division in our conference on the road, playing the game at night. We won't have to deal with the glare of the sun coming through the windows like you do at a day game at that stadium sometimes. But I look at it more as, it's hard to win in the NFL. Every team, no matter what uniform they're wearing or what their record is, this is the highest level football in the world, and every game is hard and takes doing a lot of little detailed things that we talk a lot about, fundamentals, technique, schematics, discipline of, like we talked about with Justin, a little detail on the play that everybody just looks at it as another play. He didn't get the ball, but Justin looked at it as an opportunity to get somebody else open with how that coverage played out. Like, there's thousands of those things that take place in a game, and the team that does those things more, the little things more, and more of their 11 guys on the field consistently doing that contribute to what the score ends up being. And it doesn't mean you're 31 points better than this team or that much worse than that team. It just means that on that day for 60 minutes in that game, those are how the little things all played out.
Kevin, where is Theo Jackson in working through that?
Yeah, Theo should be able to, he got a little bit more clarity from, our medical staff, and then also some expert opinions outside, and he should be able to work back in this week. But we'll see how he does with practice today, and then, how he transitions throughout the week, but hoping to have him.
Kevin, within the peer progression conversation, when do you feel like some of the teaching of it will fall?
I think, just from a nature of where the game's kind of gone to. I mean, I showed the team 3 or 4 of our defensive snaps from the other day where, I know what the coverage is because it's on the screen. But if you paused it throughout the time, from the time the ball hits the quarterback's hands to the top of his drop, you'd be hard-pressed to know that that's what coverage it is. And there's just a lot of variations that I'm not going to say that they didn't exist back in the day. I don't want to be that coach either, because I have so much respect for people that have played this game, and the level that our league is and has always been is as good as it gets, and will always be that. But I think the evolution of just the way the game is played, and maybe it's some of the rules that have adjusted the way, you can throw the ball over the middle now, and there's consequences for defenders, taking away throws at the catch point that didn't exist back in the day when you had some of these, the Ronnie Lotts of the world. You didn't throw that ball no matter what coverage it was, if he was standing in the middle of the field. Like, that existed, and just the evolution of the game and the smart ways we protect players and how it's changed the game a little bit has required defensive coaches to start finding new ways of trying to make the quarterback say no to those throws for different reasons now. And then I think you just have many examples of, quarterbacks that have been Hall of Fame level of processors reading defenses, and no matter what you tried to play, they could figure out those things at a very, very high clip. But what we don't talk about is a lot of the other guys that maybe, weren't able to have the kind of success doing that because maybe they needed to have the ability to just do their jobs on a play. But with all that being said, there's still elements of every coverage where there's a hook player, there's a quarter flat player, there's a fire flat player. Like, I could throw out term after term, and those coverages all still have the same terms within them. It's just the picture, the transition to the final picture has changed a little bit, whether it's the Fangio system, whether it's, the Seattle cover 3 teams that then started to pair that with quarters. But really, when you pause that tape, is it any different than what, just guys maybe being named something different, but it's really they're in the same spots and they're doing a lot of the same things. But yet you would break it down as a totally different play, coverage. So, it's one of those things where it's a hard question to answer. I think it's hard for, maybe people with certain levels of experience and success doing it one way to look at it a different way. We do basically whatever's required to try to have success against a given team. If there's less disguise, you can have more coverage reads. If there's more disguise and more of an emphasis put on that, that means they're not putting an emphasis somewhere else where maybe you've got to play the game differently. And then the interpretations of what that game plan is going to be what it is, and then we move on to the next one and get ready to try to win another game.
Last one. Speaking of quarterbacks, Phillip Rivers coming back.
Yeah.
What did you?
Yeah.
What through your mind when you saw that?
Yeah, I actually, believe it or not, was, I know Phillip pretty well from San Diego and got a chance to be his teammate at one point. He's one of my favorite people that I've ever been around. Very short amount of time professionally, but, we've become close over the years. So I was actually getting ready to text him happy 44th birthday coming up, and then I may have added a line or two once I saw that report, but not surprised at all. I know for a fact he's got a full-scale practice field at his house, and he's got enough folks in his family to form a team if he needs to. But no, Phillip Rivers is, he is one of the best to ever do it. And I wouldn't put anything past him. There's very few people that just the type of person, the leader, the competitor, and just the fact that he's, the Hall of Fame caliber player that he is. I'm sure he's looking at it. I have not talked to him, but I'm sure he's looking at it as what an unbelievable op if that ends up being what happens, and wouldn't put it past him to play at a really, really high level like he always did.
Thanks, everybody.